This is one of the most difficult, deeply disturbing, and emotionally taxing investigations this office has ever worked, and it's weighed heavily on our community.
Your bond was denied on the murder charges of homicide by child abuse. I do find that you probably qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You need to contact the public defender's office, and that number is on the paperwork. Your first court appearance is scheduled for August 28th at 9 a.m. Your second appearance is October 23rd at 10 a.m. You can have a seat. State your name for the record, please.
Marty Harris.
Mr. Harris, you have a right to a jury trial. You have a right and an obligation to attend all court proceedings. If you do not show for a court date, a bench warrant may be issued for your arrest. You may be tried in your absence, or you may face additional charges. If your charges are dismissed or you are found not guilty, you have a right to have them expunged, which means they will come off your record. You have a right to represent yourself, hire an attorney, or see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney, which we will start in just a moment, but you will need to contact the public defender's office yourself to see if you qualify. This charge will be heard in general sessions, therefore you're entitled to what is called a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing does not determine guilt or innocence, but determines if probable cause exists to move forward with your case. If you would like a preliminary hearing, you need to submit the form I'm going to give you, notice of preliminary hearing, within 10 days of today.
Personally, there's some very harsh words that I would like to use about Johmarea and Michilae and their actions, but I will not do that. And I will not do that to protect and maintain the integrity of this case. But I will tell you this: I will not refer to them as mom and dad, or mother or father. They don't deserve that title. Few human remains were recovered in an area known as Cedar Creek Reservoir, also known as Stumpy Pond in Fairfield County. These remains were immediately sent to the State Law Enforcement Division, and through analysis, the DNA of the remains are consistent with being the biological offspring of Johmarea and Michilae. Our information reveals the use of corrosive chemicals and other tools that were used to accelerate the destruction of her little body. After this was completed, these two individuals poured what remains were left of Javeayah into the Cedar Creek Reservoir. These subjects went through great lengths to cover their repulsive and revolting actions. In my 37-year career in law enforcement, I have never, ever heard of anything so horrific.
If you watched our last video on Javeayah Harris, you already know how this started. A missing 4-year-old, a search that pulled in 200 officers, a mother's voice on a 911 call that sounded so real. Baby, none of that prepared this community for what came next.
Strangers, neighbors, and family sharing hugs, prayers, and support for her family.
Just feeling overwhelmed, and this is really hitting close to home. I have a 4-year-old, and we live right around the corner. I just can't imagine a parent, doing this to a kid.
If you're new here, come on in and get comfortable. And if you watch part 1, welcome back to the table. Go on and hit subscribe if you haven't, because this case is not finished handing us reasons to.
They're monsters. They're the worst type of evil that I have ever come across in my entire life, and that says a lot.
The vigil ended with candles glowing, balloons rising, and the community singing.
On July 9th, Sheriff Marty Sawyer walked back out in front of every camera in Aiken County. And what he said that morning is, why we're back here today. Quick refresher for anyone just joining us. Javeayah Harris was 4 years old. She loved Minnie Mouse. She loved chasing chickens around the coop behind her house. Her own father told a reporter she could carry a full conversation better than he could. That's who she was. Hold her in your mind, because what you're about to hear was done to her after she was already gone. Before we get to July 9th, there's a piece of this story that came out in the days before, and it matters. Reporters covering this case confirmed through public records that Johmarea Harris and Michilae Herring lived in Clinton, South Carolina before they moved to Aiken. Clinton police responded to that address for a verbal domestic disagreement. And there's a separate domestic call logged in Aiken County itself back in March of this year. March, months before Javeayah's warrant window even opens. Y'all, that means this wasn't the first time somebody in a uniform showed up at a door in this family's life. Javeayah's name is not on either report. Now, that could mean she genuinely wasn't there. It could also mean nobody thought to ask. Either way, I need you to sit with the fact that this family had law enforcement at their door twice before any of us ever heard her name.
We also learned yesterday from several different reports that we got back from the Aiken County Sheriff's Office and Clinton PD. That's important because it gives us a timeline of what this family was doing and where they were before all of this happened. We now can confirm that they were in Clinton, South Carolina. Before coming to Aiken County, there was actually a report on file for a verbal disagreement or argument that Clinton PD responded to an apartment complex up there for. And it's interesting to note, because there was a domestic call that they had here in Aiken County back in March of this year, so not too long ago. Javeayah's name was not mentioned on either of those reports. And if you're familiar with domestic violence or family violence cases, and when officers show up, usually that's a key thing that they note is whether children were present or not. So it's interesting that her name wasn't on either of those reports, and it brings up the timeline of when was Javeayah missing, when did she pass away to, and how she passed away as well. So there's just so many questions still left with this case.
Absolutely.
That's not proof of anything by itself, but it's the kind of detail that makes you wonder how long this had actually been building. July 9th, 10:30 in the morning. Sheriff Sawyer walked out, and this time he was the one struggling to get the words out.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. In just a moment, the sheriff will come out. He does have a prepared statement for the update in the case involving Javeayah Harris. Also, at the end of the conclusion of the statement, the sheriff will answer some limited questions. Just keep in mind that there's some details of the case he won't be able to discuss. So go ahead and try to have your questions thought in your head now. So at the end, we can go ahead and ask those questions. So thank you all.
Good morning. I'm Marty Sawyer, and I'm the sheriff in Aiken County. Thank you for being here today, especially the citizens of Aiken that's come in. Thank you for being here. And I'm here to provide an update on the investigation that we've been investigating the death of 4-year-old Javeayah Harris. These updates never get easier to share. This past week has been heart-wrenching for everyone, but we've seen an outpouring of support in Aiken County in a massive joint law enforcement effort to search for and now to seek justice for Javeayah Harris. Personally, there's some very harsh words that I would like to use about Johmarea and Michilae and their actions. But I will not do that. And I will not do that to protect and maintain the integrity of this case. But I will tell you this. I will not refer to them as mom and dad or mother or father. They don't deserve that title. I stand before you saying this is one of the most difficult, deeply disturbing, and emotionally taxing investigations this office has ever worked, and it's weighed heavily on this sheriff's office, all these other law enforcement agencies, all these people behind me that's worked tirelessly to bring this to an end, and it's weighed heavily on our community. I am truly sickened to share what this investigation has uncovered. From the moment Javeayah was reported missing, the sheriff's office, as well as our law enforcement partners and first responders, we responded with urgency, determination, and compassion. What started as an exhaustive and complex search quickly grew to something that I would have never imagined. Now understand, I cannot discuss all the details. We should have stopped the train. Understand that I cannot discuss all the specific details in this case. But at this time, I can share that a few human remains were recovered in an area known as Cedar Creek Reservoir, also known as Stumpy Pond in Fairfield County. These remains were immediately sent to the State Law Enforcement Division, and through analysis, the DNA of the remains are consistent with being the biological offspring of Johmarea and Michilae. I want to also share with you that through forensic evidence, statements, and analysis, extensive and deliberate efforts were made to destroy and conceal evidence following Javeayah's death. Our information reveals the use of corrosive chemicals and other tools that were used to accelerate the destruction of her little body. After this was completed, these two individuals poured what remains were left of Javeayah into the Cedar Creek Reservoir. These subjects went through great lengths to cover their repulsive and revolting actions. In my 37-year career in law enforcement, I have never, ever heard of anything so horrific. As a result of this information, it's unlikely that the entirety of Javeayah's body or any other remains from this point forward will be recovered. And I'll say this again, we had all hoped and prayed to find her body, but with the information we've uncovered, that's simply not possible. I want to also announce additional charges for destruction and desecration of human remains have been filed against these two individuals. I know this is heartbreaking for anyone who's followed this case. It's heartbreaking for our office. For all the law enforcement across the state that's worked on this case, countless hours to find every piece of evidence with the hope of bringing Javeayah home. It's heartbreaking to our community. Our commitment has been to pursue the truth regardless of how difficult it may be. While no announcement can lessen the profound loss in this case, our commitment remains unchanged. Today is not only about the evidence recovered, it's about a child whose life was taken far too soon. While today marks a painful chapter in this case, it does not end our work. Our investigators will continue to pursue every lead, examine every piece of evidence, and work closely with the Second Circuit Solicitor's Office to ensure that justice for Javeayah is pursued. I ask you to pray. Pray for Javeayah and her extended family, our staff, all these other law enforcement agencies, and this community. Again, I want to thank all these law enforcement partners, local, state, federal, other first responders who assisted in this case. But from the time I announced at my last press conference that the investigation had taken us outside of Aiken County, I specifically want to thank the State Law Enforcement Division, South Carolina DNR, and Sheriff Will Montgomery and the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office. These DNR divers spent hours and hours and hours searching. Finally, I want to again thank our community. Throughout this investigation, we demonstrated encouragement, patience, and prayers. We recognize the emotional impact this case has had on so many, and we thank you for standing with us. Together, this community has shown that even in the face of tragedy, compassion, unity, and service remain stronger than the darkness we've encountered. I'm going to take a few questions, but if it didn't come from this press release, you're probably not going to get much more. At this point in time, with what they're charged with, that would be a question for the solicitor's office later down the line. I don't want to speak for them.
And what have you guys learned from relatives or other close family about when Javeayah was last seen alive, and whether or not any one of the close family members had raised any concerns about not seeing her for an extended period of time?
I'm just going to say the same thing I said at the last press conference. We believe that she had been dead for about a month before the 911 call.
Has there been any evidence that you guys have done in the last few days, or when it comes to the child abuse standpoint towards Javeayah, that was it one specific incident that potentially killed her? Was it ongoing?
I can't speak on that. I know the answer. I'm just not going to give that.
You all have on the pink ties and the pink ribbons. Can you elaborate on what that means? You mentioned
Well, everybody's put on Facebook to wear pink. The pink's her favorite color. We just thought it would be, we care about her like everybody else does. We have people that'll be at the vigil tonight. I have a previous speaking engagement, so I can't be there. They come late, but we just want to show that we're human beings. We're not robots. We care about the people in this community, especially the 4-year-old girl. It's just the most disturbing thing you've ever seen. I'm not going. Our investigation led us there. Okay. Thank y'all, and thank you, community.
Lord have mercy. Let's actually sit with what he just told us, because it deserves more than a scroll past. Investigators recovered a few human remains from Cedar Creek Reservoir, also called Stumpy Pond in Fairfield County. DNA testing confirmed they belonged to Javeayah. According to Sawyer, in early June, corrosive chemicals and other tools were used to destroy Javeayah's body at the family's home on Hillsborough Street. What was left was then driven to that reservoir over 80 miles away and poured in. Both parents now face an additional charge: destruction and desecration of human remains. The sheriff said it's unlikely the rest of her will ever be found. Reporters read part of the actual arrest warrant on air, and I want you to hear it the way they read it, not the way it gets summarized after.
They're now charged with desecration and destruction of human remains. So add that charge onto the homicide by child abuse and onto the false report that Michilae faces as well. Michilae was denied bond on that charge because it was tied to a homicide charge. They do have to go to circuit court to see if they're eligible for bond on the homicide charges. Hard to believe that will be granted given the details that we just learned today. Again, if you're just joining us, that was Sheriff Marty Sawyer giving us an update on the Javeayah Harris case. He says they found remains up at Cedar Creek Reservoir that were, the DNA that SLED tested was consistent with let me see what he says here, the biological offspring of Michilae Herring and Johmarea Harris, which would be Javeayah Harris. So they believe they found Javeayah's remains. He then says the two here on your screen, Johmarea and Michilae, went to great lengths to cover their actions, including using accelerants like corrosive chemicals to destroy Javeayah's body and then pour her remains into Cedar Creek Reservoir. So again, we showed you over the past couple days that officials were up in Fairfield County around that area doing some searching around Union County. And this is sick. This is sick. And that's what we're all thinking at this point, I believe. It's hard to find the words to put to this. Sheriff Sawyer said this was the most disturbing thing he's covered in his nearly 40 years in law enforcement. I haven't been in news quite that long, but I can say the same about my time here. This is truly, truly evil, wicked, vile stuff. And I know a lot of people in the comments here, I was watching along on Facebook, people were saying that, and it shows you that there is still some evil out there in this world. But I think on the flip side of that, if there is any positive to take out of this, it's the outpouring of support and the community rallying behind Javeayah and the search for her and now getting justice for her. It shows there is good in this world too. People who never knew Javeayah, never knew her name until about a week and a half ago, coming out to support. The sheriff mentioned that today. Will and Sydney mentioned that today. As you saw, you may have seen before, they started that news conference. We were talking to Sydney Hood and Will Rio, who have been out there covering this case since the beginning. And the community has really showed up and shown out for 4-year-old Javeayah. If you're just tuning in here, this is a harrowing, brutal update to share with you to this Javeayah Harris case that we got from Sheriff Marty Sawyer. He said that Michilae Herring and Johmarea Harris, who he won't even give the honor of calling mother and father or mom and dad of Javeayah, went to great lengths to cover up Javeayah's death. He says they used corrosive chemicals to try to destroy her body and then poured her remains into the Cedar Creek Reservoir, which they were able to recover some of, but he says because of the nature of what was done to Javeayah, they may never recover any more remains. So we've got Sydney and Will standing by here, and we'll check in with them in just a little bit. But this is just such a vile case, and it's so hard to listen to these details. Especially when I sit here with the arrest warrants and I think about the 911 call that Michilae made the night she said Javeayah went missing. And I think about the call that Will had with Johmarea Harris on Thursday, I believe, after she went missing, allegedly missing, on Tuesday. And you just add all that up, and how can people do this, you know? There are a lot of people here who showed Javeayah love, a lot of people here who would have shown Javeayah love if she was their daughter, and this is the way she was treated here on this earth. And I hope she is able to see now that the community loves her and that there are a lot of people out there who love her. This is tough. This is tough. We've got Will and Sydney still out there today getting set up. Guys, can you hear me?
Extreme indifference to human life. That's not our language. That's the legal language. Somebody in a courthouse had to find a clean, clinical way to write down what happened to a 4-year-old. And that phrase is what they landed on. Read it again if you need to. I did. Y'all remember the phone interview from part 1. Johmarea Harris talking about running errands, about coming home to find police lights. Knowing what we know now, listen to it again.
Closed. Okay. I got up around 5-ish, and my daughter was outside playing. My girl was out there watching her. She was in and out of the house. I say that, and I was going to get up to wash the clothes. Yeah. What else can I say? I left the house around 6, like late 6, maybe like early 7. It was probably around like 6, and I got back to the house maybe around 7:15 because my girl and my daughter said they wanted some candy, like she wanted some suckers and she wanted some cookies, and I had went to like three stores maybe in between those times to go get gas, Black & Miles, and I had went and got some drinks, like some little Mad Dogs and stuff like that, and when I left and I went back to dry the clothes because I was washing them. I was sitting there for a little minute, then I ended up going to another store. Like these 3 stores that I'm saying, like I sold the 3 stores already, but I went to a store last. Gotcha. And I was back at the washing machine that was right beside the Circle K. And then when I was at the Circle K, I was seeing a lot of police and stuff going through.
He confirms it himself right there. Not his wife, his girlfriend. Small detail, except it's the same detail Michilae got wrong on the 911 call. And baby, once one detail in a story starts wobbling, I start checking all of them. There's one more piece of that day worth knowing. The reporter who did that phone interview had a follow-up meeting scheduled with Johmarea in person at the hospital where Michilae had just given birth. He called to confirm. Johmarea heard his name and hung up the phone. Sir, you agreed to the interview. You picked the time. And then you couldn't even stay on the line long enough to say you changed your mind. 2 days later, both parents were arrested, and here's the call itself. One more time, now that you know what was already true when she made it.
Aiken County 911, where's your emergency?
Ma'am, I'm at 39 Hillsborough Street. I can't find my baby.
39 Hillsborough Street?
Yes, ma'am. She was outside playing, and I came out here after cooking dinner a little bit, and I'm looking for her, but I don't see her nowhere.
All right, how old is this baby?
She's 4.
All right, what was she wearing?
She has on pink Minnie Mouse pajamas, and she had in pink beads. She had braids.
Is she black, white, or Hispanic?
She's mixed.
Okay, how long ago did you see her, ma'am? When was the last time you saw her?
I just came out here like no less than 20 or 30 minutes ago. I went in the house to cook dinner, and I told her it's time to come in once it starts getting dark. And when I came out here,
Okay, just take a breath for me, okay? I already have them on the way to you, okay? Do you know where she might be heading? Okay, you have any family or friends that live around the area?
No, but she usually try to chase our chickens to catch them, and I've been looking through the woods to try to see if I see her, but I don't see her nowhere.
What's your name?
My name is Michilae Harris.
What's her name?
Javeayah Harris.
Harris, I couldn't hear the first name.
Javeayah is spelled Javeayah. And I wasn't out here. I'm 39 weeks pregnant. I can't keep up with her like that.
Okay. And what? Anybody else out there with her? Like that was out there with her? Any friends, kids playing with her?
The way our yard is set up, it's nothing but the dogs and the chickens right here at the back.
All right. Does she have any health issues? Any mental issues? Anything like that?
They suspect that she was autistic, but she just now turned 4, so they don't have no diagnosis all the way.
Okay.
She's very smart, though. She don't seem autistic.
Does she talk?
Yeah. She can carry a full conversation.
Okay, you didn't see any vehicles before you went inside or anything like that?
No, but what worries me is these crackheads that walk in his house behind the house. I don't know. I've always felt weird about them, and I don't know. Hello?
I'm still here, ma'am. Give me just a second.
My call might be breaking up because of where we at.
Okay. What's a good callback number for you, ma'am?
Ma'am, I don't have one. My phone is not on, but I can still call 911.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Okay. I'm on the way to you. Just to confirm, where was she in the house when you saw her last?
No, she wasn't in the house, ma'am. She been playing outside today. And she asked me, can she play for a little bit more before it got dark, and I said yes. And I literally, her bath water is in the tub, ran, and dinner is cooking, and I came out here to get her, and I can't even find her.
Okay, is there a certain place she likes to play outside?
Usually in the chicken coop, and that's usually where I find her every day. And I just looked in here, and she's not in here.
Okay. Is there any bodies of water nearby?
I don't know, ma'am. Me and my husband just now purchased in this house. I don't know about this area much, but it's not a good area. I'll tell you that. It's not good.
Okay, you say you searched the woods. Is that behind your house?
Yes, it's like a pathway right behind my house. And we usually take the dog sometimes in the woods to just let them run. And she'll come, so I know she knows about the woods. And but I look down the same pathway that we walk, and I do not see her.
Okay, and you said she was wearing pink Minnie Mouse pajamas. Anything else you may be wearing?
Her beads are pink.
Beads are pink?
Yeah, she's got braids. I mean, I don't know if she got on Crocs or with shoes, because she just puts on play shoes, but I don't, ma'am, it's not no way that she could have got far.
All right. Do you have any neighbors around the area that you're familiar with she might be going to?
No, we don't talk to none of these people. None of these people, because they all mostly do drugs. I don't associate myself with that.
Have you checked with neighbors to see if they have seen her?
No, ma'am. I'm literally, I called you 10 minutes after I stepped outside. The cops are pulling up right now.
All right. Go ahead and talk to them, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. No problem.
She described the beads in that child's hair, the pajamas, the chicken coop. Every detail was real. The girl in that description had already been gone for weeks. One piece of this update that isn't dark. Javeayah's baby sister is safe. She's in the custody of her paternal grandmother. That baby did not choose this family. She gets to grow up far away from everything you just heard, and that's exactly how it should be. 200 law enforcement officers spent a week searching for a little girl who was never coming home. And when this news broke, this community did not walk away from her. Both parents are now facing homicide by child abuse and destruction and desecration of human remains. Michilae Herring also faces filing a false police report. Bond has been denied on every charge so far. Sheriff Sawyer said something else worth remembering. He said he will not call them mom and dad, not mother, not father. I need y'all to think about that in the comments. A sheriff, 37 years into his career, looked at two people and decided they hadn't earned the right to be called what they are biologically to that little girl. Tell me if you agree with him. Since this update broke, this community hasn't slowed down. Another candlelight vigil drew hundreds, this time at the event center on Shiloh Heights Road. People sang Amazing Grace. A second vigil followed in Union County. On July 25th, there's a bike giveaway planned in her honor. Javeayah Harris loved Minnie Mouse. She loved chickens. She loved walking up to strangers and saying hello. She has an entire community now that never got the chance to meet her, showing up anyway. Rest easy, baby girl. This isn't over yet. If this update hit you the way it hit us putting it together, tell me in the comments which part you can't shake. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, because we will be back the moment there's more to tell you. We'll see y'all in the next one.